We speak about the Aqidah of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah and the differences between the different sects and the deviation of the previous communities in the Ummah. We need to discuss certain topics which are of particular controversy. There are many issues that nobody ever differed about, whether Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah or even Shia. And there are some issues which were a cause for massive divide and contradiction between the different sects. One of those topics is the topic of Al-Iman. And without to go into a lot of detail in all the topics of Iman, to summarize, Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah are characterized and recognized by their belief and their stance on the Iman. That they say, Al-Imanu qawlun wa amal. Okay, or Al-Imanu qawlu wa amalun wal i'tiqad. That they say the Iman is sayings and actions. Or they will say Iman is sayings and actions and conviction in the heart. They're both synonymous, because those who say Iman is sayings and actions, they qualify it and say Al-Qawlu qawlan. The sayings are two types. Qawlu al-qalbi wa qawlu al-lisan. The saying of the heart and the saying of the tongue. And he said the actions, al-amalu amalan. The actions are two types. Okay, the actions of the heart and the actions of the limbs. So in essence, Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah say the Iman is in the heart, on the tongue, and on the limbs. Al-Iman ma waqara fil qalb, wa aqraru bil lisan, wa amalu al-jawarih bil arkan. So the Iman is what's settled in the heart, testified to by the tongue, and practiced willingly by the limbs. And Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah say about the Iman that it increases with the good deeds and decreases with the bad deeds. And it will not negate by committing the major sins unless they make it halal. They believe that it's halal. They will claim that it's halal. But it will negate by actions which are kufr akbar, which take it out of the fold of Islam. So whether kufr in the heart, kufr akbar, or kufr on the tongue, or kufr on the limbs, if it is the major type of kufr that takes you out of the fold of Islam, like mocking the messengers, or mocking Allah, or fighting on behalf or in the alliance with the disbelievers against Muslims, or making istihlal, making halal what Allah made haram, or by you say sihr, magic, or shirk in Allah Ta'ala, taking a legislator or a lord beside Allah, making sujood to an idol. These actions will take somebody out of the fold of Islam. Okay? Whereas the major sins like the zina, the adultery, the stealing, drinking alcohol will not make somebody a kafir unless they believe it was halal. So now comes the question. There's one other topic Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah differs with the other sects about. Okay? Is the issue of how do we judge the Iman? Okay? If the Iman is in the heart, and on the tongue, and on the limbs. And the other sects, what they say is that the actions are not part of the Iman. The Ghulatul Murji'ah, the worst of the Murji'ah, they said the Iman is only in the heart. Okay? From Al-Jahmiyyah, they said the Iman is only in the heart. Not the tongue, not the limbs. So it doesn't matter what you say with your tongue. As long as you believe in your heart, you're Muslim. Even if you have kufr in your tongue. The others, they said, Al-Karramiyyah, they said the Iman is only on the tongue. Not in the heart and not in the limbs. As long as you say La ilaha illallah, you're a believer. Even if you don't believe in your heart and even if you don't practice it willingly. Both of these sects are kuffar. Then you have the other, Murji'ah, they said that the Iman is in the heart and on the tongue, but not on the limbs. And that is the main difference between Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah and all the other sects. Whether the Ash'aris, or the Maturidis, or the Shia, or the Mu'tazila, they all differ on this point. Okay? The Khawarij, they also believe the Iman is on the limbs. However, they differ with Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah in saying that they say Iman does not increase and does not decrease. Okay? Rather, they say that the Iman is rigid, one block. Either you believe or you disbelieve. So therefore, they say if you commit major sin, okay, you take away your Iman, it doesn't decrease, it goes away completely. You are a disbeliever. That is the Khawarij. Okay, so we understand the difference. Whereas Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah say the Iman is in the heart, the sayings and the tongue, the actions, increases with good deeds, decreases with bad deeds, and will negate with the acts of apostasy, the major kufr that will take somebody out of the fold of Islam. Now, the other thing, as I said, that we need to consider is the topic of judging the Iman. How do you judge the Iman? The different sects, they will be confused about this topic because they exclude the actions from the Iman. So the Murji'ah, they will say, how can I tell if somebody is a believer by his body, his actions, his limbs? Because they don't see the actions of the limbs as Iman. And so that's why even they will start to deny and reject to call some people kuffar unless they can see inside their heart. They said, I don't know, maybe in his heart he believes. Okay? So this is the action of the Murji'ah. They start to say, we need to look to the heart of the person to understand if he's really a believer or a disbeliever. And the Khawarij as well. They will start to judge their hearts. They will start to make assumptions. They will assume, they say, look, if he was really a believer, he would never have lied. If he was really a believer, he would never commit adultery. If he was really a believer, he would never steal. So they say, look, there's proof that he must be a kafir. Because no believer would be brave enough to do that. So for example, this is how the Khawarij start to deviate. So they have this manhaj of judging the heart. Whereas the heart is not an evidence for us. Why? Because the heart cannot be seen. How can you see what's in the heart? Whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to judge according to the apparent evidence, what you can see, what you can hear, and not to look to what's in the heart. We say we've been ordered to judge by the apparent, especially when we talk about in relation to the Iman and Kufr. That is the Aqidah of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And this is a topic, obviously, many people have heard the phrase, we judge by the apparent. And they repeat it, we judge by the apparent. Brother, I judge by the apparent. But they don't know what it means. They don't know what it means. I've seen some people, they say, brother, we judge by the apparent, and therefore, in his heart, he must... What are you talking about in his heart? You say you judge by the apparent. You understand? So people, they say the words, why? Because they heard the Shaykh say it. They read it in a book. They heard some YouTube video. But when it comes down to the real application, they are clueless. They are foolish. And I heard some people say to me, brother, how can you're deviant. Why? Because you judge by the apparent. Of course we judge by the apparent. But you judge by the apparent on people who make tuqiyah. What's tuqiyah? What is tuqiyah or taqiyah? Taqiyah is when you say with your tongue what you do not believe in the heart. Okay? So you want to say to me, somebody shows me Iman with their tongue, but in his heart is kufr. How do you know his heart is kufr? So ya akhi, we know. And they say, brother, the Shia. Brother, we know all about the Shia. The Shia are Rafida, those who deny the Quran, call the Sahaba kafir, and curse Abu Bakr and Umar and Aisha, and they start to believe that their Imams are ma'soom and like Anbiya and can abrogate the Quran and Revelation, and they believe that the Quran has been distorted and there's a new Quran or a special Quran that is hidden and going to come out 2,000 years later. All these kufr beliefs of the Rafida, we know them, they are mushrik. Okay, there's no doubt about those Shia Rafida, they are mushrik. But the question is, brother, who do you accuse of being Shia Rafida? Because they want to say to you, if somebody repents openly from their kufr, and they declare publicly, I reject all the kufr of the Rafida, is it allowed for me as a Muslim, Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, despite my anger and hatred for the Shia, is it allowed for me to call him kafir? After he says, I repent from that publicly, and says, I reject all of what those Shia Rafida say, and I will punish anybody who does it. And I believe in La ilaha illallah, and I believe in Aisha, al-Mu'mineen, so on. If somebody does that, brother, I need to judge the apparent. Even if I believe he's lying. And this is the question today. Okay? Is it allowed for me to call him kafir? Because somebody will say, brother, we know the Shia, they always make taqiyya. Yes, we know they make taqiyya. That's true. And so what? What does that make difference to the hukum and the aqidah of judging by the apparent? Otherwise, think about the problem of this idea. The one who accuses, the one who says that, he said, brother, you have to make takfir upon me. I say, yeah, but you're Shia. You're Shia Rafidi, you're kafir, mushrik. He said, no, I'm not. I said, yes, you are. He said, no, I'm not, I'm Sunni. I said, you're making taqiyya. No, I'm not, brother. How do you not make taqiyya? Because the Shia make taqiyya and you're Shia. You see, you can't have that approach where you just say, just because somebody, you accuse somebody of being Shia, and therefore whatever he says to deny it, impossible. Otherwise, you're saying to me, brother, impossible for the mushrik to become Muslim. The mushrik comes to you. I said, I want to leave the shirk I used to be upon, and I want to testify to La ilaha illallah, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I want to become Muslim. Muwahhid. He said, I don't believe you. You're making taqiyya. You can't become Muslim. You're never going to be Muslim. Akhi, this is wrong. It's not the manhaj of the Anbiya or the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam or the Sahaba. Not the understanding of the Sahaba. And we can see that from the evidences. Why? Because the Quran and Sunnah is what we follow. We don't follow emotions. then takfir is not about emotions. If the takfir is about emotions, you're making takfir al-hawa. Okay? That is when the hadith says, if you call your brother kafir, or you say to your brother, ya kafir, then, as if you killed him. Or then the hadith said, the kufr will come back to one of you. Hadith in Abu Dawood. So, this idea of just making takfir out of your own emotions is not correct. Okay? Otherwise, brothers, we call many people kafir, many people commit real kufr, and yet people are afraid to call them kafir.